The John LeBang Show has been known to make people laugh, sing, think, scream, throw things in rage, and generally lose their minds. Listener discretion is advised. Greetings, Earthlings, and alert the media. The John LeBang Show is coming at you, loud and clear. Welcome, my friends, to another 60 minutes of Sonic Vibrations. I'm your host, John LeBang, and there is a lot of news that we need to cover this hour. But first, I'd like to get to a banger I told you so. It wasn't but a week ago, ladies and gentlemen, that I had brought up the fact that the Republicans were probably going to pass some measure of gun control that the Democrats couldn't necessarily pass when they were leading the government. Well, we had this not just 5 days later coming out of the president's mouth.
Or might take the firearms first and then go to court, because that's another system. Because a lot of times by the time you go to court, it takes so long to go to court to get the due process procedures. I like taking the guns early, like in this crazy man's case that just took place in Florida. He had a lot of firearms. They saw everything. To go to court would have taken a long time. So you could do exactly what you're saying, but take the guns first, go through due process.
Take the guns first, Mr. Trump says, and then go through due process after. Yet, you can't have due process if you take the guns first, Mr. President. Now, to emphasize that I did tell you that this was going to become an issue and we're going to start hearing talks about this, let me play you what I said, or a little segment of what I said last week.
Mark my words. You're going to get some measure of gun control you wouldn't have been able to get under Obama. But because the Republicans are in office...
And here we go. We have President Donald Trump suggesting that we need to confiscate guns from supposed mental people who are possibly going to do something in the future. He doesn't talk about the fact that the FBI knew about this. They and the police department down there in Florida had no less than 40 reports on this kid or this crazy person, as the president suggests. The school system, through the Promise program, didn't report additional transgressions by this crazy person. Yet, the focus, even from the president, is we should confiscate guns and worry about due process second. All this, and if you watch the video, ladies and gentlemen, you will see sitting to his left is Dianne Feinstein, the lady who would love to take away your guns.
If I could have gotten 51 votes in the Senate of the United States for an outright ban, picking up every one of them, Mr. and Mrs. America, turn them all in, I would have done it.
Mr. and Mrs. America, turn them all in. Sitting right next to President Donald Trump saying we need to confiscate weapons from supposed crazy people, then you know the authority on that is going to be the government, and they're going to deem anybody they feel a threat to their power structure, a mental health risk, and they're going to confiscate weapons from them? Is that going to be our veterans who have post-traumatic stress syndrome? This is an increasingly slippery slope. But to emphasize a little more that I was ahead of the game on this one, that I was hitting the target exactly, here's another little bit from last week.
But we're going to watch. We're going to see some kind of gun control. I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know how restrictive it will be. But since the Republicans are in office right now, since they're in control of the federal bureaucracy, and they have a president that's part of their party, they'll be able to pass something that Obama and the Democrats could have never passed because the opposition from the Republican Party would have been there. And the Democrats will not be in opposition of what is coming from the Republican Party because the overall agenda is there for the Democrats.
And who is sitting next to the president when he's saying we should confiscate weapons? Dianne Feinstein, the biggest gun-grabbing person there ever was. She would do anything, as you heard earlier, to get the guns out of the hands of the American people. And here we have the president sitting with the Democrats, same side of the table. You didn't see any Republicans sitting next to him? Nope. So here we go one more time, ladies and gentlemen, just so you get this in your head. Here is what the president said. And this is just to emphasize, ladies and gentlemen, that I told you this was coming down the pike. And the many poo-pooers out there, the people who try to discredit me, whether it be online here or through email or on videos, when I make comments, well, guess who's right again? Let's play the tape.
In the possession
or
of that
Mike,
individual.
take the firearms first and
Take
then go
the
to
firearm.
court. Because that's another system. Because a lot of times by the time you go to court, it takes so long to go to court to get the due process procedures. I like taking the guns early, like in this crazy man's case that just took place in Florida. He had a lot of firearms. They saw everything. To go to court would have taken a long time. So you could do exactly what you're saying, but take the guns first, go through due process second.
Take the guns first, go through due process second. And I'm wrong on that. I had people all over me about me saying that this was coming down the pike, and it was less than 5 days later, ladies and gentlemen. Those words were uttered out of Donald Trump's mouth, sitting next to the biggest gun grabber, Dianne Feinstein. Now you tell me if I'm wrong on that. Did I not see this coming? And am I a prophet? No, I'm not a prophet, ladies and gentlemen. I just know how the game is played. And things that couldn't have been imposed, directed during the Obama administration because the opposition would have been there from the Republicans and the so-called right of the United States, can be passed during the reign of Donald Trump, and the Republicans and their own base will turn a blind eye to it. And trust me, I know this because people who used to share all the things I did when Obama was in office, and even after that, when I was actually supporting Donald Trump on a few things, have now completely stopped sharing my stuff because they're in bed with the Republicans. They're hardcore Republicans, and it doesn't matter that the Republicans are doing the exact same thing as the Democrats would have done. In fact, it's easier to do while the Republicans are in office. So that's where we're at, ladies and gentlemen. And this is not the only thing that I've been right on, by the way. And I'd like to bring this point up. I'm not trying to toot my horn to show you I'm better than any of you or better than the other guys out there. I'm just saying, hey, when I tell you something, I'm not full of crap. I know the game that is played on the American people. I know how they manipulate the minds and hearts of the general population. And the sad thing about it all is that no matter how times they pull this stuff on the American people, they fall for it time and time and time again. But it was, 3 days maybe, before the big hit on the stock market there, that the banger told you to watch your P's and Q's with the stock market? Did anybody listen? No. And does anybody give me credit that I was so right on that? That I told you, watch out, something might be coming? We're due for a correction? Did you guys care? No. Do I get credit for that? No. Am I better than everybody? No. Like I said, I pay attention. And that's why a lot of people out there listen to the John LeBang Show, because they know I pay attention. And before we go to break, I just wanted to hit this because I had I won't call him a troll, but he's a person who is in deep, deep, deep sleep when it comes to the president and what really is going on. This guy began to attack me when I pretty much proven the point that, see, I told you guys that this type of stuff was coming down. And this guy, Mr. Duffy81, I'm going to give him a little pub so you can go check out his YouTube channel. We want you to check him out. He met Sasquatch, by the way. I don't know how he met Sasquatch, but apparently Sasquatch befriended him. And now he's trying to follow Sasquatch through the woods, and I guess they're best buddies. And the best buddies of Sasquatch is going to criticize me for pointing out the fact that Mr. Donald Trump is promoting a very slippery agenda. Even the suggestion by the government that they can confiscate weapons just because they can make up something called, oh, you have some kind of mental health, you can't have your guns. And until we prove that you're not some crazy person, we're going to keep your guns. To that, I say, Mr. Trump, that is not due process. To Mr. Duffy81, who's best friends with Bigfoot, Sasquatch, who follows him around, apparently, man, you're so credible. I'm surprised you're not doing a radio show instead of me.
If I could have gotten 51 votes in the Senate of the United States for an outright ban, picking up every one of them, Mr. and Mrs. America, turn them all in, I would have done it.
Mark my words. You're going to get some measure of gun control you wouldn't have been able to get under Obama.
Or might take the firearms first and then go to court, because that's another system. Because a lot of times by the time you go to court, it takes so long to go to court to get the due process procedures. I like taking the guns early, like in this crazy man's case that just took place in Florida. He had a lot of firearms. They saw everything. To go to court would have taken a long time. So you could do exactly what you're saying, but take the guns first, go through due process.
Sometimes I really enjoy being a nobody, a person who has the freedom to actually speak his mind and not be directed because I'm so worried about keeping my job somewhere. See, I'm going to have my job whether 500,000 stations carry me or 2 stations carry me. Because I've built this John LeBang Show, the Banger Universe, my website. I've built it. And although I could really use the help from some people, like some social media help, because I hate doing that, I'm going to keep doing it by myself because there's no help coming. We got to take a quick time out, ladies and gentlemen. We're right against the break. But don't go anywhere. I've got so much more news coming your way, so stay tuned.